Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Willow Springs for one of the stranger racetracks of Season 3 in 2026 of the Radical Esports Cup. It is the second half of the season starting tonight, round 7 from Willow Springs, and it comes off the back of a fantastic start to the season for Brandon Hawkin. 5 victories in 5 weeks here on Friday nights, looking to make it 6 here tonight in California. Myself, Ian O'Leary, JR Gregory, bringing you the commentary. Good to be alongside you again, JR. As I say, a bit of a strange racetrack in so many ways. Very little room for error and an obscure, unusual layout. But actually, in my experience this week, good racing for the Radicals once again.
Yeah, very interesting track as this pretty solid schedule rolls on. And look at our scenic view right here. Willow Springs located just outside of Los Angeles in the Mojave Desert. They're nestled up in the foothills, so a lot of elevation changes. And Ewan, this is actually the oldest road course continuously operating in the U.S., opened in 1953. So seldom used, but historic and pretty interesting venue here.
Yeah, and to what I've been reading as well, it was initially planned to be an oval, hence its slightly odd shape, but it's obviously not. Here is the actual schedule. Willow Springs is today, at Lime Rock Park next week. Well, you think this is an obscure and short and odd racetrack? Well, that's going to take it to another level next week, although everyone knows Lime Rock very well. Zolder will be the week after that, followed by Phillip Island, Mosport, some very fast and flowing circuits there. Then Interlagos to round out the season, where all good championships end, of course. Brandon Hawkin is absolutely dominating the Radical Esports Cup so far in Season 3. He's 311 points in front of anybody else. Peter Eveny's having quite a good season. He's a long way ahead of James Barry himself. Then there's a bit of a smaller gap back to Kessler Larson and Jake Williams rounding out the top 5. Max Davies can count himself as part of that group as well, with a bit of a jump then back to Andre Castro, Heinz Braun, Pavel Galitzin and Menno de Graaf, who complete the top 10. In the RaceSpotTV standings, made up of races that we cover here on Friday nights, Brandon Hawkin is absolutely dominating there as well, having won the last 5 weeks in a row and finished second in the other race. Peter Eveny is behind by 65 points already. James Barry is then third in front of Jake Williams. Bit of a jump back to Castro, who's 1 point in front of Max Davies and Kessler Larson. Pavel Galitzin 8th, then a big jump back to Heinz Braun and Diogo Perez, who round out the top 10. A couple of those drivers down towards the back, including Perez, who's only been in the top 10 once this season, are a very, very long way behind. I mean, we could talk about Brandon Hawkin all day, really, because what a season he has had so far. Winning 5 races in a row. That is by far the best run that we've seen in the last year of the Radical Esports Cup, the last calendar year. Yes, we've seen Andre Castro win 5 in 5 appearances, but those were last season spread out across the first 7 rounds. Brandon Hawkin's been here every week, and he hasn't dominated every week, but he has won every week for the last 5. It's a remarkable record.
Yeah, Hawkin definitely putting on a show out here as kind of a new arrival in the Radical community. And I'll tell you, Ewan, we've had the pleasure of speaking to him a couple times. And one of the things I really enjoy about him is his attitude. He is having a really good time out here. He's always relaxed and kind of carefree when he comes in to chat with us. And I always like to see that.
What you were going to say is Canadian accent is what you enjoy. But anyway, we enjoyed that as well, of course. He's leading the session at the moment, and that is the end of the session indeed. Hawkin again on pole here tonight at Willow Springs to start the second half of this Radical Esports Cup season. It's a 1:09.8 just in front of Gullickson. He's the only one below 70 seconds, by the way, Brandon Hawkin. Have a Gullickson alongside. Julian Besterfeld is in third place in front of Andre Castro. Start from 4th. Lasse Sorensen back into the series tonight from 5th, with Max Davies in 6th. Chris Fritz and James Barry will be maybe disappointed with 8th. Cattell Larson maybe the same with 9th, and Heinz Braun rounding out the top 10. Very strong field tonight. Matthew Levin is 11th in front of Menno de Graaf, who snuck into the officials' top 10 this week. Patricio Silva and Dathy de Bercha rounding up row 7 in front of Krzysztof Mozanski in 15th, ahead of Stephen Garrett. Then Gert-Jan Randy Patters is 17th in front of Taylor Lane. Ryan Stringer and Daniel Bonovitz didn't set times, rounding out the top 20, and Anton Nielsen rounding out 21 drivers who we've got in the field tonight. A much bigger field, a slightly bigger field, I should say, than what we see normally, but the same strong field. Some actually top names coming back to the series in the likes of Sorensen and so on. So a really strong top 10 today, actually.
Yeah, very interesting lineup here today, and qualifying super important here. It'll be interesting to see how the passing works out. Traditionally, track position very, very important here. Difficult to get moves done. We'll see some big moves very likely coming off of that pit straight, and we may see some creative contested entries into some other corners, particularly looking at turn 8 on the backside.
Let's go racing for the 7th round of the Radical Esports Cup this season, and we are underway. It's not a great launch from Gullickson there, who immediately cannot challenge Brandon Hawkin on the way down in towards turn 1. He gets single file, as do the front 3. Bestfield as well. Castro tries to slip into 4th, and he does. He was very close to losing that position actually in towards turn 1 there, but he managed to slip down the inside and get through. It's a very orderly start from the leaders here at Willow Springs.
Yeah, and Castro not holding anything back right there, coming off that line with his tires dead cold, and oftentimes you have to pounce here when the traffic is packed together off of the start, and Castro looking very racy, pressing Biesterfield there right away here early, as these cars may be training up here with a couple of long sections.
Indeed, long section of straightish now, all the way down into the sweeper, which is a completely flat-out corner in the Radicals. And so, while it is a bend to the right, it is also a slipstreaming opportunity, and that just allows Castro to get a little bit closer before you've then got to go through the final turn. Really walking a tightrope between getting on that dirt and that sand on the outside, trying to maximise the entry, so get as close to it as possible, but not too close so as to grab the dirt and go straight on, but also not go too narrow and compromise your exit out the final corner. And because the barriers are so far away at that final turn, it's really impossible to see any reference points as you're going through there.
Yeah, and that is something that drivers both in the simulated world and in real life comment on. The lack of reference points out here. There's no brake markers. There's really no landmarks to speak of, so they're looking at things like skid marks on the ground, and variations in the curb can be very, very tough to get consistent out here, and it takes a ton of seat time to consistently be at the pointy end.
The top 4 seem to be just breaking away slightly at the moment, as Lasse Sorensen's getting ever more ragged at the moment, trying to stay in front of Max Davies for 5th. This is what's happened further down the field. There was a bit going on outside the top 15s, top 10 or so. On the opening lap, that's Ryan Stringer getting sideswiped there on the way down the hill towards Monroe Ridge. Slides down the hill here. This whole track really is on a bit of a hill, and Stringer having to get back up it again to get back on the racetrack. Anton Nielsen having to go very slowly here in towards turn 2, letting some people through, and goes a bit too wide in trying to do that, and oh dear, and he goes wildly off the circuit as well. Into turn 1, real battle here for Sorensen again. In live pictures, he just about stays in front of Max Davies again there, and James Barry as well. Matthew Levine also off into the sand out through Monroe Ridge as well. There's a lot of places where you can go off here, not so many where you can hit the wall, because the walls are so far away from the actual racetrack, but it doesn't give you any room for error, as Andre Castro, sorry, it's like I don't know him. Andre Castro puts the pressure on Julian Besterfield once again here for the 3rd place.
Yeah, and you know, this track has been on the iRacing service for 3 years, but don't see it out there very often, and maybe lack of seat time rearing its head here. It is very, very bumpy.
Oh!
And there's
Davies.
somebody taking a big ride. That was Davies, and he's going to need a medic after that one. Goes off at high speed and hits that berm in the outfield. Yikes. So Davies off in the dirt. There's some sympathetic dirt driving in the back there, and that takes Castro through into P3.
Now that was Biesterfeld going wide through the final turn there, and Andre Castro gets straight through. Oh, and another one off. Heinz Braun's off this time in towards turn 1. And oh, he's got through the cones and everything. He's miles off the racetrack here. It would have been maybe quicker. Oh, and he's bounced back on as well. Goodness me. It's a dangerous place sometimes, this racetrack, that's for sure. Lasse Sorensen able to get the position back again, for 5th position, but look at the train that he's got behind him, and look at the race that we're seeing here at the moment. Such drama happening into the final turn here for Max Davies, and into turn 1 for Heinz Braun as well.
Yeah, Yeah, just a little bit of over-rotation right there. As I said, it is very bumpy out here, as you see replay of Braun getting a little help off into the dirt right there. You know, a lot of the schedule has been on pristine, smooth as glass Formula One tracks. Definitely not the case out here. This tarmac is old, it is bumpy, and if you want to go fast up here, you've got to take some risk. And here comes Gullickson, is going to take it to Castro here down the pit straight. How's this one going to turn out?
Well, he's already been overtaken by Castro, trying to retake it, and he's not able to. So Andre Castro's up to second, but can he now run down Brandon Hawkin? It seems that he's qualifying here for Castro, just letting him down slightly, because the way that he was putting the pressure on and then got past Piesterfeld, he's done the same to Harvard Gullickson now as well. He's got the speed here, Castro. He hasn't had the track position so far. Now we're going to see his real speed, because he's got to run down the race leader, going for 6 in a row. Brandon Hawkin at the front of the field. Can he close a second and a half in the remaining laps of this race?
Well, he certainly showed some pace here early, has Castro. He went through the top two of the top 3 cars there like a hot knife through butter, but that gap from Hawkin back to Castro seems to be growing ever so slightly, 1.6 right now. Castro, plenty of time left, and part of this, Ewan, I think, is going to be about tire management. These left side tires extremely loaded in some very high-speed sections here, and even though we're only in a 25-minute sprint, that's plenty of time for these tires to overheat, and the fronts particularly to go away on you.
Yeah, I've got to say, what I've learned from seeing some other races in the week is that if you spin or have a big slide through here, half spin even, your tyres do get to a temperature generally where you can't really recover. Now the track temperature doesn't actually look that bad, 24 degrees Celsius, 75 Fahrenheit at the moment. It's not too bad, but if you have a half spin or spin especially, those tyres are going to be very difficult to get back again in any sort of reasonable time, and yeah, you can just destroy them by driving hard as well. Here at this place, there's no real time off. There's a lot of long corners, a lot of high load corners, a lot of very flowing turns, and they're entertaining to drive, but not great for tyres. Now Lasse Sorensen's off the road. What a fight we've seen for 5th place here tonight. Lasse Sorensen at the front of it for most of this race so far, but finally that comes to an end as he rejoins through Monroe Ridge, having made that mistake.
My goodness, and that is what makes this track thrilling. You're fighting the bumps, you're fighting the terrain, sliding right up to the edge to try to open up those corners, and it's very easy just to put a half a tire wrong, which is enough to upset these radicals and send them spinning. Thankfully, yeah, there's Sorensen overcooking that downhill section, so tough to get that right, and the tires may be starting to fade a little bit, even only on lap 7, but they are under a lot of pressure out here.
Somebody off the road down there at the second corner. That's Anton Nielsen recovering. He's 4 laps down at the moment. In any case, gap for the lead down to 1.1, 1.2. Castro is on his way here, and that off wide, by the way, is Gert-Jan Randy Peters as well, who is struggling at the moment. Is Nielsen having his trouble again through turn 2, just trying to stay out of everybody's way, and there's Peters doing the same, trying to stay out of everybody's way, and it's difficult to do that when there's 10 cars coming through in the next 10 seconds, because that's what this race is currently split by, 11 by 11.5. It's a very close race for the moment, but the battle for 5th has just disintegrated a little bit. It's now James Barry in front of Kjetil Larsen at the front, and see a replay here of Peters just doing his best to stay out of his way, but as I say, this feels very close at the front, and it's that makes life very difficult for laps drivers.
Yeah, Castro getting his work done here, as you see. That is Larson trying to catch James Barry. Barry has a pretty good-sized gap ahead of him to Biesterfeld, but Castro pedaling hard here. That gap is getting perilously close to 1 second. If he gets it down to 0.7, 0.8, he's going to start getting a tow from Hawkin, and we're going to see some fighting here down the stretch, and with plenty of time remaining. So Castro doing a great job cranking that gap down. I just saw it tick to 1.0, and Castro keeps pedaling like he is. We're going to see that under a second in no time, and maybe we can get from our producer some lap times up there. Not really sure how those are looking right now.
The best lap of the race so far has actually gone to Andre Castro, who has done a 109.8. And there's the fastest lap coming through. It's less than a second now, this gap, so he's going to start to get the hint of a slipstream, which surely is going to lead to a new best lap very soon of this race, I would have thought. So they come over the line again this time. Larson and Barry less worried about lap times, more worried about where each other are as they go over the start-finish line. Here comes Larson to the outside through turn one. It's a long way round there, and Barry's not going to let him through. But that's a show of intent here. Larson feels he's quicker than Barry, and he's now going to try and find his way past.
Yeah, that is a tough move on the outside right there. It's Larson would be hoping to beat Barry to the second apex there, that right-hander uphill there, but very easy for the front driver to slam the door, even if they have a compromise line on the entry to turn one there. You saw it right there. There was a little bit of a threat there from Larson, got his nose beside, but couldn't really push it through in the second part of that combo.
On board with Ryan Stringer on the bottom of your screen now, over the top of the hill. He's in pressure meantime on Matthew Levine, who's already been off the road. Down here, in fact, through Monroe Ridge on lap 2. It's a fight for 14th place as Larson looks to the outside here through the final turn. Gullickson's been off through the final turn, and as he rejoins, that might well become the battle for fourth here. Barry gets in the slipstream, briefly skips past, and Larson can't quite use the downfall of his teammate to make a place. Instead, it just promotes and elevates the position for which they're fighting for now, Barry and Larson. A costly mistake for Gullickson there, who drops now down to 6th position.
Yeah, and some big movers here, some legit passes in there and some mistakes. Barry and Larson both up 4 positions, and some of that, of course, at Havard Gullickson's expense, down 4. Also Sorensen down 3. So a lot of moving and shaking out here, and kind of wild stuff at the Big Willow, which is exactly what I was expecting coming in. Here's a replay of Barry leading Larson down that long pit straight into turn 1.
Indeed. Into the final turn for these 3. That's not too far behind these 3, by the way. We'll see whether he can get a little bit closer as they come round the final turn now. The gap for the lead, by the way, 4 tenths as they go over the line this time. We're not even at halfway, and Brandon Hawkin has got a big job in his hands to try and hold on to this race. It's a 10.1 from him. It's a new fastest lap of the race from Andre Castro, who closes in on Hawkin again. That's the fight for the lead. And Hawkin's win streak has never looked more under threat in these last 5 weeks.
Yeah, it sure does. And Castro showed it right away. He was aggressive off the start, quickly dispatched with a couple of competitors. And remember, when Castro broke through into P2, that gap was 1.6 or 1.7. And here we are, lap 11 of 22. The lap's going by very quickly, but Castro has Hawkin right where he wants him. And as we said, we've spoken to Hawkin. He is a cool, calm, and collected character, and he is going to need all of that with Castro sniffing around behind.
Certainly is, but how do you hold somebody back for so long at a circuit where it's not easy to overtake, but certainly for a driver with a speed difference like this, difficult to hold back. So what is going to happen between those two? What about those 3 further in behind? You see Castro gaining some time on the way down in towards turn 1 there. Not quite able to get through on this occasion. Is he going to fall, I wonder, into the position that Larson was with Barry, and now it feels like Havard Gullickson is as well, of struggling to get through in towards turn 1 and struggling to stay close enough through everywhere else. Maybe the track position will help Brandon Hawkin fairly significantly here.
Yeah, that very well could be, and it also could be that Castro is letting it breathe just a little bit here. As I said, overheated tires and tire wear 100% at play here at Big Willow, and Castro knows that. He doesn't want to flog the hell out of that thing getting past Hawkin, only to have overheated tires, which would set him up for a repass down the stretch. So Castro very wily with his racecraft, and he might just we might just see him sitting back there with that 0.3 gap for the next chunk of laps before he makes a move later on.
Let's see how long he decides to leave it. Let's see if this is really a strategic decision being made by Castro to stay behind for the moment. Gullickson's off the road again at the final corner. It's cost him positions earlier. It's going to cost him another few here. Chris Retz goes through. Lasse Sorensen coming through in towards turn 1 as well. 2 mistakes in 12 laps from Hubert Gulliksen, and suddenly he's dropped down to 8th position now.
Yeah, and seat time so critical here. You go through that long right-hander, turn 8, grinding the tires, grinding. Turn 9 tightens, and there's a big dip right across the apex right there. Very easy to unsettle the car after roasting those left-hand tires on the previous turn 8. So very, very tough spot, and this track doesn't look that challenging on paper, but in the seat it is a handful to do well out here as we're looking back. Hawken and Castro still working that 0.2 gap. He cranks it down a little bit now though. Here we go.
He's gone to the outside. Does he have the space there? He's got to be careful he doesn't go too wide so he gets into the dirt, but if you get alongside once, it makes it easier to get alongside the second time. And he's using the slipstream now to have a go. 9 laps to go as they cross the line. Castro was nearly in front. Now he might well be for good. Round the outside through turn 1. Brandon Hawken has no answer. And Andre Castro leads this race with 9 laps to go. It's a great pass round the outside. Now can he run away with this race lead, go off into the distance and take his first victory for some time, first victory on a Friday night this season it would be for Andre Castro. He finished second to Hawken at Imola and Road Atlanta this season. He's just made the pass that might win him his first race of the season.
A beautiful, beautiful move by Castro there. Might have to see that one again. Goes around the outside of turn 1 to overcome Hawkins' inside defense, much as we saw Larson try on Barry earlier, but the difference was Castro was able to beat Hawken to that second apex of turn 2 and gets it done. Hawken not giving up though now, blinking out of existence for a second, but had a 0.1 gap going there. So this one not over. Let's see if Hawken tries to replicate that outside move. We're coming down the pit straight side by side again.
Is he going to be clear by turn 1 even? He's nearly there, but Castro goes very deep into turn 1. Hawken has to go back underneath him, but what a great defensive move that was from Castro. He went in so deep to turn 1 there that Hawken just didn't have any answer. Round the outside of turn 2 is an even longer way round, so he's not going to manage that. We'll see into turn 3 whether he has another go. He forces Castro onto the defensive again. He's forced onto a slightly narrower line. Now we'll turn back underneath him again, but it gets very difficult coming up towards turn 4, the very top of the racetrack here, where you can see the entire racetrack from the top. But Hawken is close here. He's not let Castro get away. It'd be very easy to sit behind him for a lap, maybe 2, and that would have been the end of the battle. But Hawken struck back straight away, ensuring that Castro couldn't get away quite so easily. And now we've got the fight on here again. He's got to go to the outside of the final corner again. It's a long, long way round, but he has the slipstream here. He's got to be careful of that sand on the outside. He might just brake early. Oh, he was close there for a moment. He's just going to tuck back in for the final apex here and hope that Castro's got it wrong. It looks like a carbon copy of the previous lap, although maybe Hawken's got a slightly better run. Onto the pit straight. He'll be leading at the end of the lap just as they go over the start-finish line there. Castro's going to defend with his life again, but Hawken goes for it this time. Around the outside of turn 1, trying to replicate the very move that was done to him 3 laps ago. And Brandon Hawken retakes this race lead.
Oh my goodness, and this is why we turn in to RaceSpot and iRacing 2100 GMT every Friday. This is the caliber of racing that we see in this Esports Cup. Tots, great stuff there, and Castro is off, and this one is over. I was hoping for 6 more laps of that, Ewan, but we're not going to get it.
Wow, absolutely. That looked like 6 more laps of a battle between Castro and Hawken. In the end, it looks like, unless Castro can do a miracle here, it looks like Hawken's on his way to a 6th in a row. We'll see it again in a moment, but yeah, Castro losing about 3 seconds in that incident. As we go back to the next closest, Larson and Barry fighting for 4th position here in towards the final turn again. Slipstream so powerful down towards here, it's unbelievable. Coming in now, swinging in for that final apex, which is almost impossible to spot. So we see the incident for Andre Castro again, just coming in towards turn 3, brakes slightly late, goes in a bit deep, and I mean that was to me the braking zone of a driver who'd been you know, out front in the clean air for the last 3 laps. And for the first lap in 3, he suddenly was braking and then turning into a turn where the air was taken off the nose with the presence of the driver in front, and that did seem to affect him pretty badly.
Yeah, too right, you. And that in combination with the fact that Castro had been withdrawing heavily from the bank of grip of those tires with that epic move on Hawkin into turn 1, and then that epic defense on a couple of successive laps, used up those tires, overheated them, and he didn't have anything left through that tough uphill complex where you saw him wash out. And we're very likely to see more of that as these tires are going to be screaming for mercy down the stretch.
Side by side outside the top 10 here between Max Davies and Taylor Lane. Heinz Braun watches on, really frustrated that his mistake early on, although it wasn't really his fault. Lasse Sorensen into, I think it was Sorensen, into James Barry, then into Heinz Braun, and nobody's fault really, just Braun ending up on the wrong side of it. Max Davies very wide on his own there, and Braun very nearly getting 2 in 1. He'll have to settle for just the 1 though. Moving up to 12th place through the final turn. You can see the amount of drivers who've run slightly wide into the sand there, coming out the final corner. There's no real exit curve there, which again makes this circuit very unusual, that there's not really any curves that you can use anywhere. Taylor Lane gets back down the inside, a little bit wide, and coming back through. Heinz Braun breaks early and tucks back into line again. Well, I'll say that. Look, it's to the outside, but nothing doing for him there either. So these are the battles to enjoy for the rest of the race, really. Taylor Lane was slightly off the road there and might give that place back up again, but Andre Castro's been caught by Julian Besterfeld now for second. Ketil Larsen and James Barry are still fighting for fourth. There's still fights going on, but like you, Jay, I was hoping and looking forward to that battle for the lead there, which looked like it was going to last for lap upon lap there.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. That was some great driving and really fantastic stuff. And now it's Biesterfeld who is going to try the outside on Castro, come out that pit straight. Castro's putting this squeeze on him. He's going to slam the door right in his face, not as violently as he did to Hawkin earlier, but Biesterfeld is going to have his work cut out for him if he wants to get through right there.
Yeah, he really laid a marker down there, Castro. A little bit of a bump on the straight there, a couple of bumps, as if to say you're going to get the minimum amount of room here and no more on the outside of turn 1. That made it very, very difficult indeed for Biesterfeld to get through on this occasion. It certainly sinks any chances of catching Brandon Hawkin from here, although those chances were probably in the single-digit percentage points anyway, but they're certainly gone now. 3.5 seconds with 3 laps to go at the line. It's going to be 6 in a row for Hawkin, and I'll be interested to hear from both of them at the end of the day as to that battle and everything, because first of all, you've got to remember Castro started from 4th place in this race and had a couple of guys to overtake before he had to run down Hawkin and then make the pass and then hold on to it, whereas Hawkin got the pole and looks like he's going to go on to win this race. It'll be interesting to see what they both made of that battle there and see if they wish it had gone on for another 6 laps. It was certainly a fun one to watch. Find out what it was like for them inside the car a little bit later on. But for now, Castro's attention's turned to this fight for second, which he seems to have in hand at the moment, as Larsen does for fourth, with James Barry on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, Barry pedaling hard here. Actually watched his track walk earlier out here, and it is really nuts to be out here in these cars. I mean, it feels a little bit more like a Miata track or something like that. You get these fast cars out here on these bumps and these high velocities, and it is quite thrilling, as you've seen.
It certainly is. These guys come towards the final turn once again here. Larsen and Barry. The slipstream for Barry just not quite operating the way that he would like at the moment. He was a bit wide there through the final turn as well, unless he's brought it back for the late apex. So he sort of has into the slipstream. Goes over the line, and Barry's not close enough again here. Much like Biesterfeld, not close enough to Castro at the moment. And this is the thing with Willow Springs is, if you're in the lead and you're faster than the driver behind, they might be able to stay in your slipstream and come along for the ride, but they can't overtake you, or at least it's very difficult to, as opposed to some other circuits where the draft really helped you stay in line. Now on the bottom of your screen again, Max Davies staying in front of Patricio Silva, actually getting in front of, I should say, for 10th position here as well. It's got a nice balance, I feel, between having the opportunities for overtaking but not making it too easy.
Yeah, very, very good point. The slipstream can definitely make up for some small errors anyway when you get on that pit straight, but any larger errors, and you definitely have to work hard to get through that initial complex turn 1 through 6. I'm going to say very, very tough. The elevation changes, the car coming light over a crest, a braking zone, uphill, blind apexes, really an incredibly challenging course. And I want to say that I was reading about this place earlier, and it was actually in Ford versus Ferrari. They got some footage out here during the filming of that one.
Well, it's the last lap now, last lap and last chance for James Barry, who goes to the outside of turn 2. It's an extraordinarily long way round there, and he's out wide. Lawson, to be fair, didn't take the best line himself, and Barry's still got the chance towards 3. He's going to go for it there on the inside. A bit of a narrow margin on the inside there, and they've got to make sure they don't come into contact. They very nearly did, but Lawson is able to hang on without contact, and might well be able to hold it all the way to the line now, pending that slipstream, of course, towards the final corner again. And a bit of lap traffic, which they have in front of them right now as well. It's the 19 of Krzysztof Mozanski, who is going to be getting out the way, staying to the left-hand side. That bit of slipstream might just help Larson, as Biesterfeld gives Castro one last scare towards the line as well. Barry gives it a go. Oh, Biesterfeld off the road in the background, trying to take second, as Brandon Hawkin takes 6 in a row in the Radical Esports Cup on Friday, 2100 GMT. It is another win for the Canadian in front of Andre Castro and Julian Biesterfeld, who tried all he could for second in the end there, couldn't get there, as did James Barry for 4th. He can't get past Ketil Larson for that position. But there is Brandon Hawkin, who takes yet another victory in this series, approaching territory at this time slot that we've never seen before. Brandon Hawkin with 6 in a row now.
Wow, what a race by Hawkin, and he earned that. Castro had the pace. Castro had the fast lap in this one by 1/10, with Biesterfeld just a smidge, a couple milliseconds behind. But I'm sure that Castro would trade that fast lap in for a victory here. He had it. He had a crack at it and led for a couple laps, but couldn't hang on, as Hawkin, the newcomer, shows that he is the man to beat this season. Great work by him.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a victory for Brandon Hawkin by 3.8 seconds this time in front of Andre Castro. Julian Biesterfeld finishing in 3rd place in the end, ahead of Ketil Larson, who holds on from James Barry. Huber Gullikson held on from Lasse Sorensen, or rather got back past him again for 6th place. Chris Retz in that battle as well. Menno de Graaf and Max Davies round out the top 10. Patricio Silva was next in front of Taylor Lane, who hung on from Matthew Levin and Heinz Braun there, and Ryan Stringer. Dathie Jabersa was next, ahead of Daniel Bonovitz, rounding out those on the lead lap. Krzysztof Mozanski and Stephen Garrett 1 lap down. And the non-finishers, Gert-Jan Randy Patters, and also an early retirement for Anton Nilsson as well. Let's have a chat to Brandon Hawkin, shall we? The race winner once again here tonight. Brandon, welcome in. Good to have you with us, and congratulations on a 6th win in a row on a Friday. But this time it was a proper fight between yourself and Andre Castro, although short-lived as it was. Tell us about your sort of thoughts and feelings on the battle, how that transpired there.
Yeah, that was a heck of a battle there. Man, yeah, Andre was super quick. I think, yeah, like I don't know. I thought I was good there for a little bit, and then once he got into second, he just started reeling me in, like especially in the fast stuff. He was really good in the fast stuff, and yeah, I was just like, oh man, here he comes. You know, just I thought it was going to be a little bit less stressful than that, and then yeah, and then he just started creeping up in my mirror, and then we had a great back and forth there for a few laps there, and that was a lot of fun. We were I was kind of seeing what we could do later on in the race. There's dirty air, but it was there were a lot of lines you could run, so it was you could kind of put your car in a position to get the run off the corner, and man, that was some really good stuff. And then just yeah, a few laps in there, I think you might have just locked up a little bit there, and it's super easy to to lock up here because like the whole track's super bumpy and this car is really stiff. So it was it was a battle on track and a battle with the track as well. So that was some really good stuff.
What's it like in that moment when Castro goes off the road there? I mean, of his own accord in the end, actually, and effectively gives you the gap which was going to give you the race win. What's the situation like for you? Because obviously, in terms of your emotion at that point, because you obviously want to win, but you must have been enjoying the fight as well. What's the sort of emotion when you see him go off like that behind you as he did?
Yeah, I was having a great time, but I saw my peripheral car like going like way wide in the mirror, and I was like kind of like I don't know, I was like I guess glad that I didn't have to battle, but I also love battling. So it's I was glad that it didn't come down to the wire, but I was you know when you're a racer you want to race too. So it was kind of conflicting there, but no, it was at least we had like a few really great laps there, really like super hard fought racing there, and it was mixed emotions there, definitely, for sure.
6 in a row now for you. Just tell us, I mean, you can't have been expecting this at the start of the season. Now obviously it's just in this time slot, 6 in a row obviously on a Friday, but tell us how that feels to be on the in the sort of realms of records already with 6 in a row in this time slot here on a Friday night. Must be a great feeling to have.
Yeah, it is, and it's been and it hasn't been easy like at all. It has been super tough every single race, and it's just been just like been in the right spot, or like things have happened, and I've done the best I can, and it definitely wasn't for like a lack of trying or anything. It was like extremely tough. We've had a battle like every single race, and it's just been just super close every single time. But so it's gonna end at some point. I know that, but well, I'll just keep doing the best I can, and it's just been like a fantastic racing all season.
Congratulations again, Brendan, on the win tonight. Thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thanks so much. Brandon Hawkin, the winner here tonight, in front of, obviously, Andre Castro and Julian Westerveld. Neither of those are in the waiting room at the moment. Ryan Stringer, they're waiting for a chat as well, and we'll bring him in as well. Ryan, welcome in. Good to have you with us as well. 15th place finish for you in the end tonight, in quite a battle at the end there with Taylor Lane, Matthew Levin, and Heinz Braun as well, all in front of you at the line. How was that battle coming towards the flag there with those three?
I mean, the battle with Matthew throughout the whole race was really good. I mean, we both had some issues down the little off-cambered corner towards the back straight. I got hit off on the first lap, and I think he just went off on the lap 2. So from lap 2, we were sort of just nip and tuck, battling with each other, and then coming to the last 2 laps, we just caught up to Heinz and Taylor Lane, which was quite interesting, because I thought he was going to get past both of them. I don't know what happened to them, both of them. I mean, Heinz must have had damage. He's usually fairly rapid with these. So coming to the line, it was a bit scary, because I thought I might have had the upper leg on Heinz, because I thought he went a little bit deep into the final corner, but unfortunately didn't make it. But you have some good results, you don't sometimes.
Yeah, well, indeed. I mean, how did you find this week at Willow Springs? It's a strange racetrack in many ways. It's very little room for error. We're just chatting to Brandon Hawkin there, who's mentioning how bumpy it is for such a stiffly sprung car. How have you found it this week?
I'll be honest, I bought the track earlier, and I've done probably 5 laps in the practice session before doing the qualifying, which was not the best of plans. But I wasn't expecting it to be as bumpy with these. Coming from the last time I raced these were on Gran Turismo, it didn't feel as bumpy there, but coming into this, the cars was hitting every single little bump that was there. So yeah, it was quite uncontrollable at some sections of the track, but yeah, it's still a fun little race.
Well, thanks for chatting to us again, Ryan, here tonight, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you at the next one as well.
Hopefully.
Yeah, thanks very much, Ryan Stringer, there chatting to us at the end. 15th place for him in today's finish. Doesn't look like the other podium drivers are going to join us, but what a race that was, JR, with cut short on that lead battle a little bit, which is a little bit disappointing, obviously, but it was a great fight while we had it between Brandon Hawkin and Andre Castro, and we're seeing history being made in front of our eyes here. Brandon Hawkin winning 6 races in a row here on a Friday night. Just an extraordinary run.
Yeah, to your right. Great stuff by both of those drivers up front. Great racecraft and nice, respectful driving up front by some very highly rated and very skilled drivers. So great stuff, as always, here at our 2100 GMT broadcast. And quick shout out to Kettle Larson. We didn't mention him being one of the hard chargers up 5 into P4. So great work by him.
Next week it will be at Lime Rock Park, even shorter circuit than this one. Make sure you join us again, 2100 GMT, on a Friday for the next round of racing. Week 8 already of the Radical Esports Cup this season. That will be live on the iRacing and RaceSpotTV YouTube channels, of course. So very much hope to see you for that one. I've been Neil O'Leary alongside J.R. Gregory in the commentary box with Ramiro Augustin Cisneros behind the cameras of this RaceSpotTV and iRacing broadcast here tonight. Until we see you at Lime Rock Park next week, it's goodbye for now.